Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I am doing something different. If this is the first video you see of me, I usually do not talk this way or behave this way. I am, trying to set the tone for what we are doing today. And yeah, so as you can read in the title, today we are giving recommendations for the one and only Wednesday Addams, and I don't think I can hold this tone for so long, but we will just, I'm already glitching. I will try my best. Why am I always talking like we? What the fuck? Okay, so I hope that you agree with the books that I've chosen. I don't own all of these books. Some of them, or most of them that I'm showing right now, are part of my boyfriend's personal library, so thank you for having a weird taste in books. But yeah, if you do agree, great, give it a thumbs up or something like that. If you don't agree, please still consider giving this video a thumbs up because it's a lot of work and, it helps me grow. And if you disagree, please leave a comment down below on the books you would recommend to Wednesday Addams. But now let us get started. So the first book that I chose from my boyfriend's library and that I think that Wednesday Addams would really appreciate is this one. It's in German here, Der Meister und Margarita, but the English name is The Master and Margarita, so pretty similar. It's by Mikhail Bulgakov. It's a Russian author, and the blurb reads, "Nothing in the whole of literature compares with The Master and Margarita. One spring afternoon, the devil, trailing fire and chaos in his wake, weaves himself out of the shadows and into Moscow." Mikhail Bulgakov's fantastical, funny, and devastating satire of Soviet life combines two distinct yet interwoven parts of one set in contemporary Moscow, the other in ancient Jerusalem, each brimming with historical imaginary, frightful and wonderful characters. Written during the darkest days of Stalin's reign and finally published in 1966 and 1967, The Master and Margarita became a literary phenomenon, signaling artistic and spiritual freedom for Russians everywhere. I feel like Wednesday would really appreciate this book because it deals with darker themes in a way, but is still digestible. I feel like this is something that little Wednesday would read. So maybe like when she's 10 or something like that. Light children's book read. Nothing too crazy. It's something that I think she would enjoy as 10-year-old or something. Or maybe if she's feeling nostalgic about something she's read in her childhood. Who knows? I feel like she would be very keen to Russian literature. And that is also why we come to the next book, being War and Peace. So this is the German edition of War and Peace, and if you've seen my, I think, first video, you see, or you know, that I own another edition of War and Peace that is in Italian. But yeah, as I said, right now I have just my boyfriend's books here, so this is what we're dealing with. It's a very beautiful edition though, so there's that. You see, I don't know. I don't know if I have to tell you what exactly War and Peace is about, but I will still, read the blurb out to you in case you, just didn't have in mind exactly what this whole 1,400 pages book is about. It's by Leo Tolstoy, and the blurb or the description reads, "In Russia's struggle with Napoleon, Tolstoy saw a tragedy that involved all mankind, greater than a historical chronicle. War and Peace is an affirmation of life itself, a complete picture, as a contemporary reviewer put it, of everything in which people find their happiness and greatness, their grief and humiliation." I mean, things that our Wednesday adores. Now, Tolstoy gave his personal approval to this translation, published here in a new single-volume edition, which includes an introduction by Henry Gifford. I mean, this is talking about this translation specifically, but that's not what we care about. We care about the story, and it's quite interesting, I would say. It's long and tedious. Maybe it was something like bedtime read for Wednesday when she can't sleep or something because of the plans she's making. I feel like this is a book that would inspire her a lot, that it would, that she would enjoy, because it's not for everyone. Not everyone enjoys this type of writing. And so yeah, I feel like she would, the typical feeling of misunderstanding. She would feel a little bit misunderstood, but in the same way she doesn't want to mix herself up with the regular peasants who can't understand war and peace. So yeah, so much about that. Now the next book in line is something that I feel like she would read out of fun, for entertainment purposes, and that is Lovecraft's Monsters, edited by Alan Datlow and with a bunch of authors. So that sounds interesting. Now, what is this book about? For those of you who don't know Lovecraft's monsters, or in general his stories, prepare to meet the wicked progeny of the master of modern horror. Sounds fun. In Lovecraft's Monsters, H.P. Lovecraft's most famous creations, Cthulhu, Shoggoths, Deep Ones, Elder Things, Yog, Sothoth, and more, appear in all their terrifying glory. Each story is a gripping new take on a classic Lovecraftian creature. I feel like this book in particular, as like a collection of short stories, if you will, is pretty interesting to very busy Wednesday, when she just wants to wind down, to have a relaxing evening, when she's done her writing and done everything she's got to do during the day, just sitting down and reading a little bit about, Lovecraft's Monsters. I feel like she would enjoy that a lot, even though it's not the original H.P. Lovecraft book. It's something similar. It's something more modern, with a little bit of a modern twist whenever she wants to feel like in touch with modern times, modern monsters. Now, this is all obviously with, the notion in mind that she lives in a world similar to ours, with a similar timeline, similar authors, similar works of, art, everything. And so, yeah. Now the next book I have talked about on my channel already, and that is no other but Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Now this book is something else. It is deep, it is interesting, and it's deeply moving in a way. But it also talks about a monster, so it's kind of interesting. It's not the typical love story, adventure story or whatsoever. So it's something a little bit more elevated, and since it's a classic, I feel like it's right up Wednesday's alley. This book is described as a timeless gothic novel, an epic battle between man and monster at its greatest literary pitch. In trying to create life, the young student Victor Frankenstein unleashes forces beyond his control, setting into motion a long and tragic chain of events that brings Victor to the very brink of madness. How he tries to destroy his creation as it destroys everything Victor loves is a powerful story of love, friendship, scientific hubris, and horror. Horror. Now that sounds interesting. Now the light has gone really much south. I mean, why am I even doing this? So I'm gonna change perspective. Sorry that I didn't do this earlier. The thing is, it's exactly in front of the window and people keep passing by, so I feel kind of, observed in a way, because if I was talking like in the other direction, of course I was still sitting in front of the window, but in a way that looks like I was in a Zoom call or something like that. Instead, this way it looks like I'm talking to myself, talking to a camera, so that's kind of cringe, but it is what it is. Now, the last book on our list for young Wednesday, if she ever was to ask us what, you and me, what kind of books she would enjoy, what kind of books she would read next, my next take would be Dracula. I know it's a little bit obvious. I know, probably she's already read it if she were a normal if she were not a fictional character, but okay. I will still go with it because I can't not mention it. And so yeah, you probably know Dracula by Bram Stoker. Everyone knows it. It's a classic, like, for good reason. But I will still read the blurb, you know, for completion's sake. And also, so maybe if you didn't know about Dracula, or you don't really know the story, then now you know. Also, I talked about Dracula in another video, and also about Frankenstein, so if you want to check that out, feel free to do so after this video, obviously, and I will link that video down below in the description box. So yeah, on to Dracula. Acting on behalf of his firm of solicitors, Jonathan Harker travels to the Carpathian Mountains to finalize the sale of England's Carfax Abbey to Transylvanian noble Count Dracula. Little does he realize that in doing so, he endangers all that he loves, for Dracula is one of the undead, a centuries-old vampire who sleeps by day and stalks by night, feasting on the blood of his helpless victims. Once on English soil, the Count sets his sights on Jonathan's circle of associates, among them his beloved wife Mina. To thwart Dracula's evil designs, Jonathan and his friends will have to accept as truth the most preposterous superstitions concerning vampires, and in the company of legendary vampire hunter Abraham Van Helsing, embark on an unholy adventure for which even their worst nightmares have not prepared them. First published in 1897, Bram Stoker's Dracula established the ground rules for virtually all vampire fiction written in its wake. Now that is something interesting. I feel like that is a story that she would enjoy a lot, or she probably has already read. And so yeah, as I said before, those are my recommendations. You probably maybe have other opinions, and that's fine. If you do, please still consider giving this video a thumbs up and write in the comments down below what your maybe 5 books recommendations are for Wednesday Addams. If you did approve my 5 recommendations, then give it a thumbs up. I don't know, share it with your friends, with the Wednesday in your life. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. And I will see you in another one. Bye!